All right, we can go ahead and get started. Oh, I guess take it away, Al.
Well, I was just going to say, we've got just over 30 people. So um, please pass this along. This is what I heard yesterday from, I think it was yesterday, from headquarters. I asked my contact at headquarters about the Adobe license because I've told some people about this, but I asked what the status is in the Adobe license and was told for the enterprise that things will continue until the contract is signed that I had been told. Again, this is secondhand. I'm not seeing this directly. That they're hoping for it to be signed on the 5th. Procurement would sign it on the 5th of December, but that assumes that all the contract agreement stuff gets approved before then. Um, but that's again high level. I don't know any more detail than that. But since it's the Adobe user group, I figure it's kind of appropriate to at least give everybody a heads up that I've been told that our tools will not be disappearing. They will continue to work until NASA pays the bill. um, so yeah, please pass along to others. If you hear other guidance at another center, please let me know. I just reached out to one of the main POCs who handles headquarters enterprise contract stuff. So yeah, if you hear something at a different center, please let me know so that, if I'm hearing something incorrectly. But again, I went directly to the NASA official that helps organize it for headquarters and gets all the names for headquarters people. So I'm assuming that's going to be the same guidance for all the other centers. Um, yeah. Oh, almost 40. The other thing is please, I've talked to several leaders in several of the different groups at different centers. I am looking for volunteers for December and January. So if you have someone on your team that is your go-to person on a tool or on a process, love to have them walk through what your team does, if that makes sense. Because I would love for this to be an opportunity for all the centers to be able to highlight how their group does something with an Adobe software. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. It doesn't have to be, obviously from our survey we did, Photoshop is the big one that everybody's interested in, but it doesn't have to be. And I'll be reaching out to several of the groups that I've talked to previously to see if I can nail them down on a month. But again, it doesn't have to be them. If you know somebody or you are that somebody, please reach out to Porterfield or myself. Love to have you talk to the group because this is a place for to highlight the different teams of the different centers and show off how you work. And that way we start networking and knowing, oh, okay, well, if I have a Photoshop question, that person knows how to do what I need to do. Or Premiere or whatever it is. So please, yeah, reach out, volunteer or volunteer a friend, and we'll contact them. But yeah, we're looking for those groups because I mean, video, photography. There's a bunch of other stuff that I don't necessarily deal with. So I'd love to hear from those groups and how you use your tools. Also curious how different groups use Illustrator, Photoshop. I mean, we all do it differently. They're big enough tools that we probably don't even overlap. So please, yeah, reach out. Other than that, today Porterfield's going to be going over Adobe Bridge and how you use it, right? So have at it.
All right. Good afternoon. So, sort of to piggyback on what Bill was saying, um, this is a community of practice, not like individual experts of practice. So, I consider myself to be I guess you'd say like a jack of all trades, but a master of none, because at least in the position where I am, I have to be able to do a little bit of everything. And if I don't know how to do it, I got to learn how to do it. So when I'm presenting today, I'm presenting how I use Bridge and maybe show some people who, because it seems like there's a lot of people out there who don't use it because they don't know what it's for or haven't had the opportunity. So I'm just going to show some of the things that I do with it, and maybe it'll help with your workflows with whether you do photography, illustration, graphic design, page layout. It helps with all those accessibility. So yeah, so anybody who's interested in like a future topic, don't feel like can't do it because you're not an expert. Just show how you use it, and maybe it'll help somebody else. And so the first half of this is going to be about the presentation. The second half will be, if there's any questions that people have, any challenges that you're dealing with in your workflows. So let's go ahead and dive in.
And again, there's no stupid questions with this. We have a whole bunch of different skill sets, different knowledge bases. So if you don't know how to do something and you're curious, please pipe up. You don't have to feel nervous about this because, yeah, we all are very specialized in what we know. Or the other way, jack of all trades.
All right, so the majority of people use Finder if you're on a Mac, and I guess Windows Explorer if you're on Windows to navigate for your files. One of the benefits of Adobe Bridge is you can basically preview most file types that you're going to be dealing with in your designs. So if you go over to, sorry, there are different views for Bridge, but this is the standard one. If you go up to Window Workspace, this is the Essentials workspace. So it'll set it up like this. We'll go through some of the other workspaces a little bit later. So in this regular workspace, over here on the side to the left, you can check the caret and it'll drop down all the different file types that are in that folder that you're looking at. So you can see there's a camera raw image, an Illustrator document, InDesign document, JPEG. So let's start with the camera raw image. All right, so if you click on that, it shows you a preview. You can't do that, do that in Finder. Illustrator document gives you a preview. InDesign document gives you the layout. So you don't have to instigate the program to see what the file is that you're highlighting. This is a song that my son made. He does music, so. So it basically previews the audio file. Same thing with video. So it just takes off like, seconds that would be wasted if you had to open whatever the program was that the file was associated with. So the audio file would either open QuickTime or Adobe Audition if you use that. Obviously PDF files and also Photoshop files. And I think Photoshop files are probably the most, where this comes in most helpful, so you don't have to open up Photoshop to preview the PSD you're looking at. All right. One of the other things that I really like about this for the photographers out there, when you have Bridge open and you put in a memory card from your camera, it automatically instigates the photo downloader. Oh. All right. And then you choose it and got 3 files. And it goes ahead and downloads them. And then it instigates a new Bridge window to show you the folder where the photos were downloaded. All right. So thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Within Bridge, there is an editor called the Adobe Camera Raw. And I'm going to show you some of what this can do. So you right click on the image, open in Camera Raw. And it doesn't have to be a Camera Raw file to use this editor. You can do JPEGs, PNGs. I'm not sure exactly what other files, but this is basically these are non-destructive edits. So regardless of what file you're editing in the Camera Raw editor, it creates an XML file with whatever changes you make so that the original file is undisturbed. Then if you like the changes you've made, you'll have to then instigate Photoshop and then save it to whatever file you want with those changes. Otherwise, well, let's just go through some of this. Let's see. Let's just a little bit. All right. So if I like those changes and I don't want to output the file yet, I can just hit done and the changes appear in the preview. Now the file hasn't been changed. It's just showing the preview based on the XML file that showed the changes I made in the editor. So if I open it back up and click open, it opens it in Photoshop and I can make whatever changes I want and then export it. Let's see. Aside from viewing the files in a folder by file type, so like for instance, if I just want to see the JPEGs, I can click on that and it'll only show me JPEGs. Alternatively, if you want to see every file type except for JPEGs, you can click Option and click on the checkbox, and it will uncheck JPEG and check all the other ones. So it'll show you every other file type but JPEG. So that's pretty handy.
Someone
For the
asked
photog
if you can add metadata. Do you use Bridge to add metadata?
Yes, we are going to get there.
Okay.
Good question. If you use multiple cameras and you know which camera body the photo came from, you can check on the body and it will only show you the photos that were taken with that body. If you know what particular lens it was, you can click on that and it'll show you all the photos that came with that lens or that you took with that lens. Let's see. All right, so let's do a little bit with the metadata. So if you drag this up and you click on, so you've got your different panels here, the metadata panel, and go to description, you can type in full moon and then check the checkbox. And then let's see, where's another one? All right, here's another one with the moon in it. So go down to description, moon with 22-degree halo. Right, so that's committed now. Then if you want to, you can create these things called collections and say go into you choose description as the criteria, contains moon, click find, and it finds the two photos that I just tagged with moon. And so I should probably name that. So as you add and tag more moon photos, they'll automatically update to that collection. So let's go back to filter. Let's see, more moon. There's got to be another one in here. Oh, there's another one. All right, description, moon with 22-degree yellow. Checkbox. Go back to collections, go back to moon, and all of a sudden the new one's there. So nice to have something that just updates on the fly. You don't have to worry about it. And if anybody has any questions as we go along, we don't have to wait till the end. So if there's something I'm going over that you have a question about, feel free to chime in. All right.
Is the metadata stored in the file itself, or is it just in a bridge?
I believe it's in an XML file, but I'm not entirely sure. If anyone else knows that, feel free to chime in as well.
Any of the photographers on? Because I'm curious, like if you click one of these images, you write a description and then say it's an image you're going to use to post on NASA web, NASA.gov. Is it going to pull that in as metadata with a description? Or I guess you can always get it out of the bridge. I'm just curious if it would carry over. So
I want to say it's got to be embedded in the image somehow, because I know I've sent images to people before and they have received the metadata as well, also like the copyright information, which is another thing. So
I don't know if you can see the comments, but people are agreeing, yes, the metadata stays with the image when it leaves
oh,
Bridge.
cool. Yeah, thank you. I can't see the comments while I'm sharing my screen. But yeah, you can add like copyright information in the metadata. You can add whatever, as much detail as you want about everything. And the helpful thing about this is when it comes time to adding an image in like an InDesign layout, let's say we've got a document and we want to place this image here. With the image selected in InDesign, you go up to Object. Where is it? Object Export Options. I don't know why they named it that, but so basically you go to the alt text tab here and choose XMP description, and it populates with the data that we put in Adobe Bridge. So click done. We're gonna export that to a PDF. And it's not usually when you hover over it, it's supposed to. That's so horrible. Anyway, trust me, it's there. The hover is not working for some reason. Another thing that you can do in Bridge is, say you don't want a collection, but you do want to group the 3 moon photos together. You select all 3 and hit Control or Command G, and it groups them in that little 3. So you can do little groups if you want. And then if you want to deselect it, you do Control or Command Shift G, and it ungroups them. Some other ways that you can differentiate or make certain files stand out if they're like really important to you, or you're going to need them more than others. Say I want all these, you can do Command or Control 1 through 5, and it will assign a star rating to them. And then that's another way that you can filter, is show me only photos that have a 5-star rating. You can also assign a color label to them. And right now they've got these pre-populated titles for the colors. So select second, approved, review, to do. And you can go in to the settings of Bridge and change those labels to whatever is appropriate to your workflow, because not everyone uses these. Or if you don't care about the label, you just like the color, You can mark them with a certain color. And then these three will be like green. So then you can go over here and say, show me all the ones tagged red, all the one green, or show me everything that's not tagged, or just red and green. So for all those type A people out there, Bridge can make you very happy. If there is a certain way that you like your workspace configured, like say you don't need all these different fields, you can switch to just thumbnails. And then move this down. And say you really like this setup as opposed to the generic essentials workspace. Once you got it set the way you like it, go to Window, Workspace, Save as new workspace, and you can name it, and it'll put it in this list. So you can flip-flop between different workflows depending on what you're doing. Let's see. All right, so here are some of the different workflows or workspaces. So this would work for like a photographer where you do your metadata over here, you've got your film strip down here, and then the preview at the top, and your folder structure on the right. Sorry, left. Here's a different film strip view. This one's interesting because you can do a contact sheet. So let's say I want to do select and drag the photos you want, and it will give you however many pages of, like for instance, this is 4 up per page. But over here on the right, you can change it to like really tiny contact sheet list so you don't have as many pages. And you can also say like what page size you're using. So like legal. Change the background color depending on, what mood you're going for. You can say whether or not you want the file name included, the extension or not. You can put a watermark on it. So those are pretty helpful options, and just export down here. Click when you're done. It'll export a PDF for you, and you can send a contact sheet to whoever you want. I see a hand raised. Andrew.
Yeah, just what was the workspace that gave you that contact sheet? I think I missed that part.
It's called Output.
Oh, okay.
So you can go to Windows, Workspace, Output, or
Okay.
at the top, across the top, it has the different workspaces listed, and you can just choose it from
Okay.
there.
Great. Thank you.
Not exactly sure what this one's for. Maybe it's one that you create a workflow of your own. This one's just basic folder navigation. Generic preview with a bigger screen. You can also do this thing where if you click on the first image and hit the space bar, it'll put you in a presentation mode. And I think it should auto play through them or not. All right, well,
For
if
the
it
right
doesn't, you
arrow,
can,
see if you
yeah,
can
you
just.
can do it manually, but I did think that I thought that it had like a 3-second auto, but maybe not. Here's one if you just want to see like small thumbnails of everything in the folder. And then if you want to see all the metadata for each. So it's pretty diverse. So whatever your need is, there's usually a workspace that's better for it than the generic one.
Michael, I have a question.
Go for it.
Does that output also work for video? Would it give you the first frame of like a video if you wanted to create a contact sheet?
I've never done that before. So let's see. Actually, reset. Why, yes, it does.
Ooh, neat. Thanks.
Yeah. Good question. I would never have thought to do that. Let's see. Okay. You can also do, let's go back to our essentials and list. All right. So I've got these 3 moon photos, and say I want to batch rename them so that the file names say moon in them. So you can go to Tools, Batch Rename, and rename them in the same folder, rename and move them to another folder, or copy to another folder. So you're leaving the original files named the way they are, but the renamed files are going to be separate, copied into another folder. So we'll just rename them in the same folder. So you've got all sorts of ways you can do this. So text, we'll say moon, not noon. And then the current file name. And down here in the bottom, you'll see preview. Current file name is this. New file name is moon-dsc, blah, blah, blah. So rename, and voila, moon, moon, moon. So that's pretty helpful. If, let's say for the sake of argument, well, no, that's not for the sake of argument. Let's say we've got Camera Raw, Illustrator, and a PSD file. And you need JPEGs of all these. So select all 3, Tools, go down to Photoshop. So there are actions that you can perform from Bridge via the different Adobe products. So like you got image trace for Illustrator, video stuff, you know. So for Photoshop, go to image processor, and you can say where you want it to put the files, save in the same location. It's going to create JPEGs, quality 12. You can resize it to a certain size. You can add copyright info, hit run. Right, so it goes through. And there should be a folder. Yeah. All right. So it creates a JPEG folder with all 3 of the files as JPEGs so that you can send them to people who don't have the Adobe products and still want to be able to see it. Let's see.
And then it does that across formats is awesome.
Yeah. And it's very quick. There you can do searching. So I'll go out to the desktop and you do Command or Control F. Say you want it to look in the desktop, whether you want to include subfolders or not. I mean, basically change whatever you want. So I want to see all the moon photos in the desktop. So it found the 3 that we renamed or put in the metadata. But you can do that for, let's stop. Oh, it found more. Look at that. Pretty awesome. I didn't even know about those. But you can do like as much criteria as you want. So all files containing the description moon that are JPEGs. So it'll only do JPEGs. So you can get as fine-tuned with the search as you want, and it'll search subfolders. It'll search as much as you want. Once you get these results, you can further narrow it down using the filter here on the left. Say only ones that are marked red, that are 5 stars. So that's pretty cool, I think. Let's see. So those are the main ways that I use Bridge, and I think everybody can agree it's like Finder on steroids. I saw a hand up, I think.
Hi. Hi, sorry, my mouse is not working correctly. My name's Lisa. I'm gonna give this a shot, okay? Bear with me. I
Sure.
am I'm not a designer. I am a GPO order coordinator. I support our print manager.
This is a
And
safe
I am,
space.
oh, I'm sorry, huh?
I just said this is a safe space.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's why I'm talking because you said it was safe. So thank you for saying that. But I am familiar with Adobe design software, and I have my past history is kind of dabbling in design also. But my question is, and I'm looking at the on the top, let's see, left, the different folders you can access.
Yes.
What I do is when I send my orders to GPO, I save, and we have a lot of reorders at Stennis. I save the artwork, but I save it on Teams, okay, and file. I have a channel on Teams where I save the artwork. So when I
Okay.
need to grab it, and I also created a Teams channel in which it's called like an order index file where I keep I guess a little JPEG of the artwork. I keep a description, a print description of, that particular, uh, job or product. And I'm thinking, could I utilize Bridge to input all that, I guess, data, and can it connect to, the files on Teams? And the reason I put the files on Teams is because myself and the print manager collaborate
Sure.
on,
And ease of sharing within the same network. That
right,
makes sense. So
right. So,
any folder that you can connect to in Finder or Windows Explorer, you can also connect to in Bridge. So for instance,
okay.
I have, of course I say that this item could not be mounted. Nice. Uh, I promise you that's the first time that's happened.
Must be me.
Oh, because I hadn't connected through
Authorized.
Finder first. It had to basically establish the connection every time you sign into the VPN. All
Mhm.
right, so now that I'm established there, I can go here and say, yeah, so this is my folder on the shared network at NASA.
Okay.
Once all the, there we go. And then we've got like a, oh, yeah. So basically, once you establish a connection through Finder, sometimes you have to put in your credentials so it can establish the connection for your computer. Once you've done
Mhm.
that, you can also map to it on Bridge.
Okay. So it can go to the shared. Yeah, this is really cool. It's a quick way to reference things instead of going to the channels and then opening the files. And okay, thank you. You've answered my question.
Yeah, not a problem. Anybody else have any questions? Or ways that you use it that I haven't explored today?
I feel like a grandpa because I've been just opening up the Photoshop files in Photoshop and Illustrator, and I could have just used this to go. If I want to scan through the files, I can just use this. It's so much easier.
And every time you shave off like 3 seconds, it adds up throughout the day.
No, there's just so many with the metadata and being able to export out, like you were showing that contact sheet. I mean, that's just, I know that's in several different groups. That's probably hugely helpful when you got to show something or get feedback on something and you can just kick out a PDF or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, on Macs, you definitely can get previews of some files. I don't know, but it's having like one window like this and be able to, tab through it. But yeah, you're right. Premiere, not Premiere, but Preview on a Mac definitely can open most file types. Not all, but yeah.
Well, and especially with audio and video files, Preview can be kind of glitchy, or Finder anyway. So with Bridge, once you've clicked on it to preview it, I mean, there's no glitches.
Hey, Michael, you might have already done this, but could you open up or preview a Illustrator document just to see what it shows you?
Sure. Oh, sorry, in Bridge, not in Illustrator. Yes.
Okay, great. And if there was like multiple pages, I guess, to it, it would.
Yeah, so if there's, let me show you PDFs because those have multiple pages. So this, the complete works of William Wordsworth. It gives you a little carrot here to go through the pages and it'll show you a preview of, or say you want to see page 150. It'll take you there and it's like super fast.
That's great. Thanks.
So we do the same thing with InDesign files, multi-page. So I'm not that experienced with Illustrator. Can you have multi-page Illustrator files? Or would that be layers?
You have multiple art, what are they? I forget what it's called.
Artboards?
Artboards, exactly.
Okay.
I was gonna say open up freehand. What?
Right.
Pork.
Yeah, that was the argument between Illustrator and freehand back in the day. But freehand, you can have multiple pages.
Oh, another thing. So you know how we opened up the camera raw or the raw photo and made changes to it? So let's open up another file and say, you know what, I really liked, say you took like a series of photos in the same lighting conditions of the same subject. And you make changes to the first file and you really like how it came out. So you can open up all the subsequent files and click on this little 3-dot thing over here and say apply previous settings. Now, obviously the settings I applied to that other photo weren't, good settings for this photo, but I was showing you that it'll apply all the same things. It even cropped it, which not good. So I'm going to cancel that. But yeah, you can apply previous settings.
You mentioned the RAW. I'm glad you brought that back up because earlier you were talking about if you make changes to a RAW file that it changes the preview. But in order to export that version, you would need to open Photoshop. Did I hear all of that correctly?
Let's see. So you can go open in Camera Raw. You make all the changes you want. And then I think, all right, up here in the top right.
Oh, there you go.
You can do convert and save, and it'll do it without instigating Photoshop. If it's just that one image or several that you have selected in the thumbnails on the left. But if you had, say, further edits to make in Photoshop, you would then click the open button
okay.
instigate Photoshop, make whatever changes you need, and then save it.
Okay.
So you can either do it from here or from Photoshop.
Perfect. I thought that was probably.
Thanks, Porterfield.
Adobe Bridge has wowed the crowd.
Any other questions for him on Adobe Bridge? Cool. Thank you, Michael. This is really good. There's a couple things you did that I'm gonna have to go back and make note of. It's like, wait, what? What did that do? But I didn't want to hold up the thing to have you show it again, so I'll watch the video. Yeah, because I need to change and add that to my workflow. I did want to, one thing that I was going to add to these monthly meetings was a quick 5-minute tip or trick. So if anybody in the future wants to volunteer, maybe they don't want to have a whole talk on a tool or a feature, but if you have a really good feature that you found really helpful for you, does not need to be advanced, does not need to be difficult, but a little 5-minute little demo, that works too. So I was hoping to add that to these calls, have a little 5-minute demo on just a tip or a trick. And yeah, Porterfield, if you're done, I'm going to do a quick little 5-minute demo on Illustrator just to show a couple tools that I use.
Go for it.
And if you use Illustrator every day, you can go get a drink because you'll be like, yeah, I use that all the time. But if you open up Illustrator and just export out a file, but you don't really use it that often, you may not know about these. And I found this extremely helpful. And it's probably that tool that I'm kind of old school and always forget to just add it to the toolbar on the side. And okay, what's the name of that tool? I'm going to have to add that, and use the tool, and then you forget about the tool, and then next time you need it, it's like, where is it again? Because I didn't save my my settings. So just wanted to show a couple things in Illustrator. Let me quickly share my screen. And I will not be able to see the comments. So if you have questions, comments, or if you have a better way of doing this, please jump in, because I'm not saying, again, there's probably better ways to do this, or there's other pieces of this that might be better. But anyway, this is how I do things. In Illustrator, let me minimize this. I find myself using, oh, it's okay. It's just showing that. I thought I was sharing my whole desktop. These tools here, Align and Pathfinder. Hopefully you guys are using this, and that's why I say go get a drink of water, go get some, use the restroom, whatever, if you've used this all the time, because you won't care. But if you don't, say for like the line tool, let me create a new file, and yeah, and I'm just going to paste this in here. I'm going to have whatever, it doesn't matter. See, if you have a bunch of objects, if you've ever used the line tool, this is so nice. Let me put this way up here. On my screen, I have it right over here. Sometimes it's up here, depending on what you're on. But I use this all the time to line up objects, but you can center align them. There's a whole bunch of other features in here that do a bunch of different things. Again, I'm going to keep this to like 5 minutes, but if you've ever done this, oh, wait, I need to line up a bunch of stuff in a row, or let's see, you've got patches and you need to make almost like a sticker sheet or something. But you have a bunch of them, you drop them in there, all line them up or center align. But then you can also, where's the option? Right here. Well, this is a different size. So that's actually, let me standardize this. You have objects that are all near the same size, and you have them spread out all over, but you have them like here, I like to do this. Center line, and then I do this. Oh, I forgot to highlight that one. But see how it perfectly aligned all four of those? But then if I add that one in, helps if my fingers are on the right buttons. So I just left a line, put them all together, and then boom. Seems simple, but then you can also group these objects. Sorry, I'm using hotkeys. And I can paste, paste, paste. Again, if you've alignment tool is awesome, and you can do the same thing here. Look at that. It just lined them all up.
You can do the same thing in InDesign, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's one of those little simple things that you don't think is a big deal. And I'm simplifying this a whole bunch because you can use this. I've done this for stripes, for creating patterns. Like if you're in here, you can make little stripes. Let's see, I'll switch this around. But I mean, I've done this to create patterns where it just and then yeah, well, but I don't want them that far apart. So the cool thing is if you put them, you set the height of those two, and that's going to set the distance. So I want them really close or closer, and I do that. It's going to evenly space. But if I put this right, you can tighten this up, and again, it's going to evenly space, and then you can line them up. So it's a cool little alignment tool. If you haven't used it, it's awesome. Yeah, question?
Actually, more of a comment. I use that tool a lot, and I'm sorry if you covered this. I got kicked out of the meeting for the second time, and it took a couple of seconds to get me back in. Yeah. VPN issues. But when you had the circles that were different sizes, there's another tool a little lower down that will give you an even space between all of the items instead of center aligning them. And so, yeah,
distribute spacing.
Yeah. That way, if they're different sizes, it still works. It'll give you an even spacing on them. Very handy. I love that tool. I'm with you.
Big, yeah. This is one of those tools that I just profoundly underutilized. And then when I started using it, put it in my workflow, I use that for everything. I mean, because you have two objects, you want them to overlap, and then you can start doing stuff. Yeah, I find that alignment really helpful. The other one is Pathfinder. If you're not using Pathfinder, oh my gosh, please use this tool. I can't tell you how much I really, really appreciate that tool. It's not a big deal when you're creating. So there's different ways of, let me go back to here. There's different ways. If you're creating an illustration, this is just generic, whatever, but you're creating something and maybe you want to mask off the background. You want to hide it. One of the common ways to do it, well, actually, I forgot. I still have this over here where you can say, this is what I learned originally was clipping masks. That's fine. But, and those can be useful, especially when you're creating proofs. But when you're creating a final product, you've got all these hidden shapes that are in the file, and they're hugely problematic. Maybe not if you're just printing your file and vector, but if it's going to be used anywhere else, if you're going to use it to make a patch, if you're going to use it to make pins, if you're going to anything physical, you've got all these extra paths that could be problematic when you're actually creating an asset. So that's how I originally learned how to do stuff. But then I learned, wait, you can have this object here, copy, paste. And so I can use this tool. Well, first, select the two. Now it's one object. That's cool, not a big deal, but it's cool. And then here, you can use the top object, cuts out the behind object. The benefit to this versus clipping mask is just you only have one path. And for finished products, you want that. If that makes sense. I know I know the other month someone was demoing how they make patches, and I'm assuming they're doing the same thing. Once you get down to the final version, you have to go back in there and clean up the paths. So if you're using this, I suggest if you're not using this to try it out, because I find this hugely, hugely helpful. Because you can, sometimes it's easier to make an object out of multiple shapes. And then at the end, you want to combine those shapes. You want to punch out that shape. Check it out. Try it out. It's hugely helpful. Yeah, and I could probably dive in a lot more than that, but I think that's probably enough. And I don't see the comments. Any comments, questions, anything? Any other comments or questions on any of the Adobe tools? Open questions for anything. Anybody have any trouble with InDesign, Photoshop, having an issue with knowing how to do something, or you're doing something, you're like, there's got to be a quicker way. So like Adobe Bridge for me. Yeah. Cassandra, what's up?
Hey, not so much just more of a comment. Shape Builder is another one that plays off really nicely with Pathfinder and Align. And then the Adobe Max conference just had 2 sessions, one on Illustrator that was turbocharged and shortcuts that I found really, really helpful for some cool tips and tricks. And then also there was one called InDesign Tips for Insider Guide. Tons of things that I didn't even know about. I'll post the 2 links on those, but I found those extremely helpful on tools maybe I didn't know exactly how to use or wasn't using them to their full capacity, which were very helpful. So I'll post those comments the links to the chat.
Please, yeah, please do, because some of these tools, I've been using the Adobe tools for so long that I don't even keep up with the new stuff. It's like, I know how to do this, I know how to make what I need to, but yeah, there's probably tons of faster ways. That's much appreciated. Please share.
No problem. Thanks.
Well, if nobody has anything else, we can give you 7 minutes back.
Appreciate all of you joining. And please let me know if anybody wants to volunteer for either December or January. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill and Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.